You say you love me, but I don't think that it's true. It's all for you, all that I do. It's hard to escape all the problems in your brain, but it's okay when things don't go your way. I said, girl, don't lose your faith, 'cause you won't always be alone. You're more than your mistakes, and me, you'll always have a home. In your heart, in your mind, well, I saw in your eyes that I need to let go. I said, girl, don't lose your faith, don't lose your faith. It's hard to love you, darling, when you're far away, 'cause every day I miss your face. I'm trying to deal with all the money and the fame, but it's okay when things don't go your way. I said, girl, don't lose your faith, 'cause you won't always be alone. You're more than your mistakes, and you'll always have a home. In your heart, in your mind, well, I saw in your eyes that I need to let go. I said, girl, don't lose your faith, don't lose your faith. That was good. I said, girl, don't lose your faith, 'cause you won't always be alone. You're more than your mistakes, and you'll always have a home. In your heart, in your mind, well, I saw in your eyes that I need to let go. I said, girl, don't lose your faith, don't lose your faith. In your mind, well, I saw in your eyes that I need to let go. I said, running in circles, never leave me alone. Say I don't answer the messages or pick up my phone. Say we all need some time just to settle down. Won't you come around, 'cause I never can leave it alone. Tell me your stories, but don't leave out the lies, 'cause I know I got some problems and I'm open to mine. So we all need some time just to settle down. Won't you come around, 'cause I never can leave it alone. Talking about somebody rolling, boulevard dining, making it count for efforts I can't explain. Bowling and feeling we drowning. Never been humbled by playing the fighter. Never been broken, never been bothered. Suddenly changing, thinking I'm never amounting to nothing. Been chasing a stereotypical fantasy, acting like everything happens for reasons. Still I just might hit. Been making me lose my mind by telling myself, why the hell did I write shit? When you sit there with your long legs, but bitching about something I don't know. Then you walk away realizing it's so predictable where we just won't go. And that's wedding bells in a chapel. Been nibbling on the wrong apple. Living life, emotions you never can manage. They picking me out of a raffle. Number one heartache coming from memories. Number two pencil style. We straight now, going opposite ways. These opposite days are making me think what to say now, and that's real. Running in circles, never leave me alone. Say I don't answer the messages or pick up my phone. Say we all need some time just to settle down. Won't you come around, cause I never can leave it alone. Tell me your stories but don't leave out the lies, cause I know I got some problems and I'm open to mine. So we all need some time just to settle down. Won't you come around, cause I never can leave it alone.
Been coming in closer, been taking my time when they speeding off, writing and signing these deals they supposed to. I don't get motivation for something I wanna pursue, spitting hotter than toasters. Saturday grinding, I'm better off sitting back mixing and chilling some fucking mimosas. Should we toast her, making $1,000 in my pocket? Like fine, that's good for me now. Or say fuck it, I'm taking my shit to some levels and bringing my friends overseas now. I can do it, but promise me every time I'll be down lower than hell. You digging me back to the surface, rocking the stage. You think I'm just cocky, but really I'm drowning inside, feeling nervous. Sound of the violins of the alarm clock, they waking me up when the harm stop. I'm dreaming we staying together, but honestly you kinda act like it's all games. And I'm tired of this, but it's sad cause I feel like you fine with this. And I'm mad as hell, but not crying for this. Just wasting my time, but it feels my game. Spit a rhyme to this and that's real.
Running in circles, never leave me alone. Say I don't answer the messages or pick up my phone. Say we all need some time just to settle down. Won't you come around, cause I never can leave it alone. Tell me your stories but don't leave out the lies, cause I know I got some problems and I'm open to mine. So we all need some time just to settle down. Won't you come around, cause I never can leave it alone.
When you say you make
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the FCDB Cup 2017 qualifier. As always, my name is Hawker, here to bring you the action, and after a little bit of a delay, we should be heading into Epsilon up against Resistance here shortly. Of course, we have got the vetoes down to Mirage, and I think overall, well, both these teams have started off in this Group A with a loss. 0 wins, 1 loss so far. Both have played 1 game. And so this is a fairly important matchup for both of these teams. In terms of looking at their past results, Epsilon lost against Seed 16-8. And then Resistance went down against WASD 16-7. So fairly poor results from both these teams in their first game of the group. And they'll be looking to rebound here on Mirage. In terms of predictions, heading into this map, I think the Swedes of Epsilon have to be favoured. The team is, I don't know, it's an interesting team on the Epsilon side, because the international team they had before was also doing fairly well. And they decided to switch it up a little bit, get a full Swedish roster going. JZ Walking's there in the mix, as well as a couple of his teammates who haven't quite changed their names. I can list the full roster, but I don't know who is who. But we'll figure it out as we get underway. There we go, they're slowly switching it up. It looks like Epsilon just running away, wasting everyone's time on the knife rounds. Could actually win this one, actually, to be fair. So, there you go. Epsilon actually do win the knife round, not wasting our time. They get to choose their side. Don't think it's too important on Mirage what side they start on, but I'm sure they'll be fairly happy to start CT, and we will finally be able to get underway after a little bit of a delay. Of course, looking forward later on into the day, both these teams do have other maps to be played. Epsilon will be going up against alternate attacks after this first game for themselves. And then the third and final game of the day is going to be Seed against Resistance. So I think this will be a fairly important deciding day for both of these teams as to whether or not they can start to pick up some wins. Can also just quickly look at some of these recent results from both of these teams on Mirage. Of course, it's just going to be a best of 1 in the group stages here. And Resistance have had some up and down results, I think it's fair to say, on Mirage. The Serbians have managed to get some wins over teams like Nexus and ClickTech recently, but they've also got some fairly weak losses in there against Game Agents, against Locastic, so not exactly the best of results, a little bit up and down. Whereas Epsilon have looked fairly consistent on this map, I think it's fair to say. They've beat MK, they've beat Invictus, the Romanian team, they beat Chaos, the Lithuanian team. Not exactly particularly tough opposition, but they're still getting the wins. And I'm sure they will hope that continues here, as we are finally having both teams ready up. It is a little bit early for CS. I'm not used to being on this early, but we should be able to head underway now. Might have to check some of the Epsilon players' names, because this is going to get a bit confusing to cast, but for the time being, we're just going to have to deal with it. As we head underway into the pistol round, Zinken will be going for the kit and the smoke. The rest of Epsilon just going to go for Kevlar. In the meantime, Resistance do have 2 sets of nades, as Holmes does decide to finally buy up the HE. And here we go, heading underway into the initial pistol round. It seems like Resistance have their players with the nades lined up around the A site. Fairly often you will see just a couple of smokes over towards A to attempt to get an easy bomb plant on the T side pistol round. But you can see also a few players in towards Connector attempting to split this A bomb site. And let's see how successful this is, because the nades are already coming out, and we're going to see the push come forwards. Nades going towards CT, but JZ Walkings is nearly going to get the first kill. However, Dimka just decides to play things safe, and Resistance now have the bomb site to themselves here. Epsilon playing this one very passively, and allowing Resistance to get the bomb down without any kills coming through. They do have a defuse kit still for the retake. You can see Resistance themselves are going to try and push into CT spawn, but plenty of players pushing forwards for Epsilon. It's not working for them, though. The Glocks just shut down the push from CT and leave just Jay-Z Walkings to try and recover from this position. Very nice first headshot, makes it a second, and all of a sudden, Dimka is all alone in a 1-on-2. Goes for the first kill. Trades back and forth in terms of damage, but the defuse is still coming in. Jay-Z Walkings has the kit, and there's just nothing Dimka can do with the bomb being planted behind the box. The smoke being up, he's nowhere near the action. And so Epsilon do get to take the first pistol round. However, it was a little bit closer than they were hoping for, I'm sure. Okay, Jay-Z Walkings gets knifed by his teammate at the start of the round. Not the best way to start things off, especially because Resistance have decided to go for the risk in the force here. I don't know what's happening on this map, we're just not going to open that up. A couple of AKs dropped over from Holmes and KGR, so they don't have Kevlar. But it's allowed Impulse and Dimka to both have AKs with armor, with full nades. So this becomes a dangerous position now for Epsilon, considering they only have the 1 M4 on their side of things. Smoke goes through, and Decky just decides to play safe. So we are still yet to see where Epsilon decide to put the most of their presence, and where Resistance decide to push. Oh, Holmes had already taken some damage. That nade will finish him off, and there's a second kill for Airsip on the hold. Looking for more, the FAMAS just decimating the opposition. Finally he's going to whiff some shots, but KGR is still going to try and push forwards himself. Not going to be successful though, he gets taken out. So a fairly easy hold on the B site. The AKs don't really get anything done there. And so Resistance now, after going for the force buy themselves, will be straight back down to a hard eco. Fairly strange there to see Resistance not find any kills with those AKs, especially because you wouldn't expect Epsilon to firstly know that they had AKs, but also you wouldn't expect them to know that the push was going to come like that in towards B, and yet still they find it fairly easy. Here come the Glocks out towards mid, looking to get something done. Already, though, the first kill comes in. The M4 spraying away. Jay-Z Walkings finds an easy triple kill. Not quite the quad, though. Only the assist for the final frag, as it's stolen away from him. But I'm sure Epsilon are more than happy with that round. And of course, Resistance themselves, despite going for that force buy in the second round, they will still have the money for the buy here. I don't know why people in chat are saying can't see. I'm pretty sure you can see the stream right now. Maybe there's just some blind people watching CSGO. Who knows? Either way, kills coming back and forth. Jay-Z Walkings is the man with the rifle, yet again finding a double kill. I don't think he's going to find too much more because he's out of ammo. So the trade frag will eventually come in, but still Resistance, without too much utility, have to try and get the bomb down, and that's still not going to be an easy task. KGR picks up an AK. Smoke goes down towards CT, so that will help the bomb to be planted. And Zinken decides not to go aggressive on the edge of the smoke. So Epsilon are just going to stay safe and allow the bomb to go down. And now Resistance just have to rely solely on these two AKs. No utility left. So it's going to be all down to those AKs, and only one kill for KGR. Means that Decky has to clutch it by himself. He's going to get gifted the first kill to bring it back to a 1-on-1. Bomb is planted behind the box, though. Smoke comes forwards, and you can see Decky's scared the defuse could be coming in, so he's forced to push forwards, and going into the smoke, surprisingly enough, here. And that's going to allow Epsilon to close out the round. Don't exactly know who this is, but he's won the clutch. Just about getting the defuse in the nick of time, and the AWP saved at the end. So Epsilon will continue to keep their win streak going. 4 in a row now on their CT side. Resistance took that fairly close, but you saw Decky a little bit scared of the defuse coming in. Had to go aggressive, and that ended up costing him. Oh, Impulse goes for the peek towards mid, and JZ Walkings went for the secondary AWP on the Epsilon side of things, and yet it does not work out. Impulse takes him down fairly easily, and maybe they didn't expect an AWP to be coming out from Resistance, because remember, Resistance only really can get the buy here thanks to the bomb plants from the previous round. So it is a little bit surprising to see Impulse have the money for the AWP, and that works out for them to get that first pick. And now Resistance just going to take things fairly slowly, mainly focused towards mid. You can see right now, okay, well you can't see on that map, but the bomb has been left back in T-spawn, and there we go, Impulse just getting players peeking in towards him. That was the AWP recovered for Epsilon, but only the leg shot landed. And so Impulse will happily take a second entry kill, and at this point Resistance have to be closing out this round win. You can see Epsilon going to lean more towards the A side of the map. At this point I think they have to take a risk to try and come out on top here, but unfortunately for the Swedes it looks like they have taken the wrong decision, because Resistance lining up the B push. "30 seconds left, and here we go. The B site is wide open. And as soon as B site is claimed, I think Epsilon will realize they have to just go for the save. They really don't have any chance of retaking B from a 3-on-5. Especially the B sites here on Mirage, really difficult to retake. So we will just see Epsilon look to hold on to what they can into the coming round. And just quickly looking at Epsilon's money, it's not as good as you may have initially expected. Some of these rounds have been fairly close, and so saving these double AWPs would be very valuable for them into the next round. Especially if Impulse is going to try and find entries with the AWP again. It would be very nice to hold on to a couple to try and counter that. And already Resistance themselves throwing away a couple of guns here at the end of the round. Shouldn't be too relevant in the grand scheme of things, but it's still something to watch out for. Either way, Epsilon, thanks to the guns being saved, will go for the force buy here. Double AWPs again. JZ Walkings tried to take the fight mid in the previous round, and that's what costed Epsilon. He went down first, and from there on, the defense crumbled. So let's see if JZ Walkings still tries to hold in towards mid. It looks like he is going to slightly reposition, playing in towards connector, with his teammate also having a second AWP focused towards mid. And this time Resistance are just not going to push out top mid early on. That's actually allowing one of the AWPs to go aggressive here. Surprised to see Epsilon go so far. He spotted out the hand there. Oh, not quite going to land that opening kill with that AWP, going for the aggression, but doesn't quite get rewarded for it. Certainly not a terrible idea, but now doesn't want to stick around in case the flank could be coming through. So Epsilon had the chance for the first kill, but they don't quite capitalize, and so instead it will still just be a 5-on-5 where Resistance have to make the move. But with 55 seconds left, they're still willing to take as much of this time as they need. Looks like we might be seeing, for the most part, slow plays coming out of Resistance. And Epsilon have got a fair few flashes left to try and counter the push if it were to come through. Zinkin in the corner gets the perfect timing for the peek. Just as Holmes pulls out the nade, he goes down. And so now Airship does have to hold the B site by himself. The fake towards A does do something for the Serbian side. Still no entry on the B site. They need to push in, and JZ Walkings has already rotated over. This is looking fairly grim now for the terrorists, although a couple of kills back. Impulse himself finds a second frag with the AWP. Surprised to see these kills coming in. A leg shot lands onto JZ Walkings. And so Impulse is going to get the bomb planted here, but Zinkin is already pushing up. Surely he should get this kill. Impulse still trying to play safe. There's so many angles for him to check, but he's managing to avoid them. How is he still alive here? Looking for it with the AWP. The flick doesn't land. And so Zinkin will secure the round win thanks to his triple kill. Impulse did a great job at staying alive around the sites. But Epsilon were always going to find him eventually. And so they do take the round, and more importantly, put Resistance in a slightly tough position in terms of their money. Well, here we go. Resistance have made their decision. Despite not having perfect money, they will elect to go for the buy. Only going to see 2 AKs and a Galil in terms of rifles, alongside a couple of CZs. And they are still up against the double AWPs, and Dimka just gets gifted an opening kill. I'm surprised JZ Walkings was just sitting out in the open towards mid there. I think he may have been watching towards underground, but just didn't quite realise that he was so exposed. And Holmes himself just gets another free frag. Epsilon trying for some slight aggression to start the round off, but it's just going to reward Resistance with 2 opening kills instead. And furthermore, that allows Resistance to recover that AWP, so now Impulse doesn't just have a CZ to work with, he also has an AWP in his hands. You can see Epsilon have even pushed out through BAPS. It's Erisip here to try and hold down this position. But you would expect the trade kill to come in. There's the first frag, looking for the second. KGR peeks round, and it's a second kill for Ersip. Impulse has to go with the CZ, but he just about finds the trade in time. Still, however, you can see Resistance don't want to push towards the B site because they realise Ersip there bought a lot of time for Epsilon to rotate over. And more importantly, I believe this is Decky indeed who's pushed into jungle. So he can cut off the rotate. And with 20 seconds left, that should allow the bomb to go down on towards A fairly easily. Decky's still just holding this angle. The bomb will be planted. And Epsilon now in a fairly tough position. Flash comes in. It actually works there. Decky full blinded. And so despite having a great angle on the hold with the CZ, he goes down first. And now the Swedes could realistically pull this one off in a 2v2. Holmes is in a fairly strong position for the post plant, and Impulse trying to play through the cracks in the box. This is a fairly strong angle that is very difficult to counter. Impulse doesn't get that shot there. It's actually Epsilon to find the first kill. The defuse coming in, and the AWP does all the damage, finding 2 kills on the retake to give Epsilon the round win. Resistance there had the round in their favour, and yet still it all goes crumbling away from them. They were in great positions there. They had the bomb down. They knew roughly where Epsilon were coming from. And yet still Epsilon just managed to use their superior aim to win out in the round. And now Resistance are forced back to pistols, and that round right there might be the one that Resistance look back on as the one that really sort of allowed Epsilon to get a huge lead in their favour. You can see now Epsilon, they're going to be able to build up more money. This game has been close. Even though it's a 6-1 scoreline in favour of Epsilon, it's been much closer than you may initially expect. You can see they haven't got the cash built up. And so Epsilon would have loved to win this round fairly easily, without losing too many of their rifles, but that's not going to be the case. The AWP has already been dropped towards mid. And Decky trying to get even more here. Spots out the second AWP of JZ Walkings, but doesn't quite find an angle for the fight. JZ Walkings finds a kill. Dimka gets one with the CZ though, and so Resistance continue to keep their man advantage. Again, Resistance using the clock to the fullest. 40 seconds left before they try and go for the push, and Holmes spraying away somehow gets that kill. And all of a sudden, there's only 2 CTs left alive. JZ Walkings from CT tries to find an angle with the AWP, but the bomb will be planted, and Impulse just takes his face off. And so Epsilon, on a round that they almost certainly should have been able to win fairly easily, looks like are going to lose from. Ersip, the one man left, will just have to save what he can. And Resistance are right back in this game now. Oh, Erisip needs to be careful. Holmes is the man round the corner. He is low on health though, and so should go down. Only the UMP lost. So not too bad for Resistance, and it looks like they will still save at least 1 AWP, possibly even 2. You saw there, KGR was over an M4, which he could have switched up to if he wanted. However, it looks like Resistance are willing to save the double AWPs on their T side, which isn't something you see that often. So Epsilon, of course, as I was saying, these rounds have been fairly close. We've seen the bomb go down. We've seen a fair few kills come through. And that means that the Swedes don't have the money for the buy into this round. So it's just going to be Erisip with the saved M4. The rest of the team are sticking to full USPs. And I think this is why I don't think the double AWP save was necessary for Resistance here. Especially when you're up against what is going to be a fairly weak buy. You don't want to risk sort of missing a shot with the AWP and then getting overwhelmed. Either way, might not be an issue here, because Dimka lands in the face of JZ Walkings. There's KGR to find a headshot himself, and so the B site is opened up. A couple of players have pushed out to T-spawn, but Holmes certainly hears these steps. Only the one headshot before the trade comes through, and at this point, certainly could be worth attempting to save these two rifles for the CT side. But Decky won't allow that. He pushes out to make sure Zinken falls. And he finds a second there. The CZ just running into the open, winning the duels against the rifles. So Resistance get their third round on the board, but more importantly, deny the save from Epsilon. So you can see, despite Epsilon committing to the buy here, their money wasn't perfect to start the rounds. They are going to be forced down to 1 UMP, as well as not perfect nades on their side of things. And here we go, Epsilon. This time they're going to go for mid control. Up against the double AWPs. They themselves want to take away mid early into the rounds. That might work out for them, but the counter flash is working so well. Look at those kills coming through. 3 entries towards mid, and just like that, Resistance almost certainly have this round going their way. You saw their Resistance very primed and ready for the push. The counter flashes made sure that Epsilon were just stuck out in the open. I think it blinded all 3 players attempting to go for the mid control. And so Epsilon will go down out of the round without a single kill. And off the back of that round going so horribly wrong for them, they are going to decide to take the pause. And I am happy to see Epsilon take this pause, to be fair. Again, a lot of the time you don't really see teams in these online matches use these pauses enough. And it's always useful just to slow things down for a second and discuss what went wrong. Because Epsilon have a little bit of a discussion to be had after that previous round. You can see the admin wanting to make sure that it's only a 30-second pause, as it should be in the rulebook. But Epsilon do only have 4 on the server, so we'll make sure that is fully sorted. And now we will head straight back underway, but it's only going to be a tiny investment, if we even see any investment here from Epsilon. Again, a quick recap of the rounds up until this point. They are on a 3-round losing streak on the CT side, so they will be getting a fair amount of money if they do end up losing this one, which is likely to be the case. But they still want to make sure they do have as strong a buy as possible, because you kind of saw there in that previous round, not having the full buy did cost Epsilon a little bit. They didn't really have the AWPs to hold mid, so they decided to push top mid instead. And without too many nades to use, that didn't work out. Okay, that's not going to work out for Erisip either. I think that was just a full Molotov that takes him down over towards B apps. Again, it's only a full eco for Epsilon, so they won't be too disappointed, but it's never nice to die to a molly. Again, Resistance themselves have full rifles, so it would be nice for them to be able to save all 5 of them into the next round. That looks like it will be the case. Resistance finding easy frags, as you would expect. Not even really taking any damage in the process. Fairly standard round, I think it's fair to say, for Resistance. And Epsilon will mainly be looking forward to the next round, where we have already seen them try to go for the double AWPs previously. I'm interested to see if Epsilon can afford those double AWPs, because you can see JZ Walkings, who's generally been the second AWPer for the team, hasn't really particularly saved up too much extra money. And so we'll get to see if Epsilon still take that risk. Obviously, Mirage is a map where the AWPers can be useful, but oftentimes you are going to see the terrorists, if they go towards mid, go for the smokes out at the start, use their utility to make sure that's not an option. Ooh, nicely done there. There's going to be an AK save. That's an extra little bonus for Epsilon to work with in this round. And so Epsilon are only going to have the one AWP on towards JZ Walkings for this round. And remember, on the Resistance side of things, they've still got those double AWPs saved from the recent round. And this time, Resistance going to switch up the pace dramatically here, going for a quick A play. We have yet to see Resistance push this quickly. And already Impulse just runs in for 2 entry kills. I thought he was risking going down to the molly, but he calculates it to perfection, surviving on 12 HP. Elsewhere, Decky gets another kill with the nade, and again, Epsilon just lose 3 players at the start of a bye round. And straight away, the round is done. It's as simple as that. To be fair, definitely have to give some credit to Impulse there. That was almost a JW style of play there. Just running through the molly to get those 2 openings. And remember, if Impulse misses that second shot, then he looks like a bit of an idiot, doesn't he? Just running through the molly for no reason, but he gets both kills. And you do have to have the confidence to land your shots there. And Resistance are starting to build up that confidence, of course, with these round wins. Looks like that Epsilon should be good to save the 2 guns into the next round. And so we are likely going to see a Force Buy come out from them. Here we go, the Force does come through. In fact, it's going to be 2 AWPs now on the Epsilon side. So 4 out of the 10 players on the server have decided to go for the AWPs into this round. And those opening AWP battles could be critical if they do come through. Looks like this time Epsilon are not going to lose any players right at the start of the round. Though Erisip is running the risk of going down here because he's gone aggressive, but he himself finds that opening headshot. You can see the second player at BAPS didn't particularly want to help out because he had the AWP elsewhere. The A-site push was coming through, and for some reason Auto Director doesn't find the action, but what I can tell you is that Epsilon were very successful on the A-hold. I think they found 3 kills there on the A side of the map without any response. And so Decky, the one man left, won't be able to do too much. He does get given 1 free kill as Erisip goes pushing a bit too far. But just take a quick look at the minimap and you can see the bomb is not in his control. He's going to have to rely on this AWP finding some picks and hoping that Epsilon over peak. We do see a peek come through there from A site, but still Decky cannot capitalise. Looks like he's thinking of going for this one, but makes a little too much noise. And so Epsilon will finally put an end to the 5-round winning streak of Resistance. And heading into the late stages of this first half now, Resistance, of course, are going to have enough money to buy for the rest of this first half. Whereas on the Epsilon side of things, if they do lose this round, they could run the risk of not having the best of buys heading into round 15. So that's something to watch out for here. So we head into yet another gun round. Double AWPs back again on the CT side. Smoke's going to come in towards window though, as you would expect. There was a Molotov there as well. Either way, Decky goes down first over towards mid. Again, I don't exactly know who everyone is on the Epsilon side because a couple of the players decided not to switch up their names. I mean, I know one of it's going to be Barbar and Kevzy, the 2 players, but who is who? We'll never know. Those pushing in, and Erisip yet again plays the exact same position on the aggression. And this time he is caught off guard as Holmes finds a second entry, and JZ Walkings also goes down through the smoke. So all of a sudden, Resistance get themselves straight back into this round, a 2v2, and with the bomb already planted on the B site. Epsilon now are not looking too good in this one because they're both coming from kitchen. They have to make their way out, and they've managed to do just that. There's the first kill, leaving Dimka in a 1-on-2. Dimka here from short, looking for the first, but Zinken wins that individual fight. And I'm surprised to see there Dimka decide to stick around towards B short, because you can see here where the bomb is planted, he could have gone all the way back, if you like, into this sort of position where you can just peek towards the bomb and try and play the time. However, instead, he was kind of aggressive there in towards Pillar, looking for the one kill initially to try and bring it back to a one-on-one. And I can certainly understand why he thinks he needs to get that kill, especially if Epsilon, of course, just smoke him off or something, then he'd be in trouble if he played safe. So you can kind of see his mindsets there. I think it would have been okay to play passive as well, but tries to go aggressive and it doesn't work out. So for the last round of the half, we are yet again going to see double AWPs on both sides of things. Nade goes in towards Palace and does some damage to Dimka. In the meantime, we're just seeing the AWPs sit back and wait for some action, and Impulse gets some action but doesn't land a shot, and he goes re-peeking into the open. Does allow Dimka to find the trade, but still the AWPs working well for the CT side, and there's Zinken running up the ladder for that kill. Very nicely done to leave Deki and KGR in a 2 versus 4. See Deki and KGR have managed to group up to try and make sure they can play off of each other. But they're still going to need a quick pick, and oh, Deki there, he lands the shot, but because the vent wasn't broken, that doesn't count as a kill. That's really frustrating. I think that might have been fixed on some other maps, but it's still an issue on Cache. I mean, it's something you could argue should be in the game in terms of the wall banging, but that vent is very weak. You'd probably think that should be a kill there. Either way, Deki lands another leg shot. He's connecting, but not getting the kills. Pushing through, but Epsilon themselves get the kill back. JZ Walking sticks with the AWP, despite being close range, and that works out. And we're going to see Zinken secure the final kill. He was pushed into Palace, and they didn't expect it. So Epsilon take a 9-6 half. I think they'll be fairly happy with that, all things considered. Taking a quick look at the scoreboard, JZ Walking's leading the way with that AWP. When he had the AWP, he was doing fairly well with it. There was the one round he went down towards mid early on, but other than that, looked like he was doing fairly well. So here we go, back into the second half. And heading into the pistol, we're going to see Epsilon line up those smokes towards the A site. But Resistance themselves have 3 players stacked towards A. I don't know why the map is messing up, but I can confirm Resistance have 3 players here. And you'll see a lot of teams go for this A strategy on their T-side pistol rounds. So it's nice to see Resistance are ready to try and counter it. They've pushed out through B apps, so they can be almost certain this will be an A push. Dimka getting some kills there. They don't clear his position, so he gets 2 free frags. Still the trades coming through, and KGR just decides to play things safe because his teammates aren't there to help him out. So the bomb will go down, and Resistance will play for the retake. But they don't currently have a kit in their possession. That's going to make things slightly more difficult. Push coming out towards CT. Epsilon going aggressive with the Glocks, and that's going to work out for them. KGR just gets overrun. Holmes, though, has already pushed through, and they've made their way on towards the site, but still not the frags. And it's Epsilon again who close it out in the clutch position. We've seen a fair few times now. It feels like when Epsilon get it down to a 2-on-2, they've been able to come out on top. And that trend continues for the T-side pistol. And with Epsilon now having the 10-6 lead and having Resistance down to a 4-spy, they've got to be feeling fairly good about their chances now. As long as they can win this round, you'd expect them to get that 12-6 lead, which is fairly difficult to come back from, even on the CT side. And we saw as well earlier, Resistance, it seems like, want to go for those double AWP setups. That's not going to be easy for them now on the CT side. After losing that pistol round, it's going to be difficult for them to get the money built up to be able to go for those double AWPs, especially as they've decided to go for the 4-spy here. You can see Impulse is the one man who's saved, so he should be able to afford the AWP into that first gun round if necessary, but we're going to have to focus on this round for the time being, because the Pistols get some kills for themselves. Decky himself finds one with the Scout. And so Resistance have themselves a man advantage at the cost of losing the site. Jay-Z Walking's going to do a bit of damage, and the nade goes over the top. Don't think it quite landed in Kitchen, though, so he won't secure a kill just yet. Still, though, Resistance are just going to pile out through Kitchen. They were all in towards that position, and you can see the difficulties that could cause. Just as I say that, though, the frags come back. The USP even finds a frag. And so Epsilon now have to try and play the time. It's not planted for this player, though. There's the first kill coming in. The UMP trying to make its way forwards. The defuse isn't going to happen. KGR gets off the bomb, gets the kill, but still doesn't have the time. He will save an AK, but Epsilon just about close out the round win. However, I'm sure that was way closer than they would have initially hoped for. And actually, oh, this is something that could be a real issue for Epsilon here. Look at this buy. They've gone for a couple of SMGs in the mix, and Resistance themselves, with the saved AK, decide to go for the Force here. You can see Epsilon getting an opening with the MAC-10. Oh my god, KGR eventually gets the kill. Took a little bit more time than I was hoping, but he finally finds the frag to bring it back to a 4-on-4. Epsilon themselves do have a couple of players grouped up around A, and KGR goes for the peak. Look at the timing. Epsilon have been holding that angle for so long, and Erisip doesn't expect KGR to be pushed up. He gets himself a free kill. And Impulse just taps away at the head there. Very tight angle, but he makes it work in his favour. And so Resistance looking good to win on the Force buy as Impulse continues to open up. A second kill for him leaves Zinken alone in a 1-on-3. And this Force buy for Resistance was a little bit unexpected. Epsilon didn't realise they had this much money, as well as the saved AK. Zinken, though, does get gifted a free kill. Decky was trying to cut off that rotation possibility, and instead Zinken himself pushes out, wins the fight, and now gives himself a lot of options. You can see on the minimap, Resistance don't really have too much map control. Impulse can't really risk holding a site by himself. He doesn't want to give Zinken another one-on-one engagement. And so Resistance may just have to concede the bomb plant here on the A site. You can see Holmes, I think, has realised it's not likely to be a B play considering his position. But Zinken actually finds the frag there. I didn't think Impulse was going to stick around. And yet he stays in the open, and Zinken flicks to the head. That final kill was so quick, Holmes couldn't even react. And so Epsilon, out of nowhere, get themselves the round win. Well played by Zinken, but at the same time, Resistance should not be fighting him one by one. And I think Resistance themselves will be realising they may have made some mistakes in that round. They are still going to go for the Force buy. However, that one could really just push Epsilon over the edge. They have the 6-round lead now. And also Resistance are having to go for yet another Force buy with only really a couple of rifles in there. In fact, only KGR and Impulse with the M4 and the FAMAS respectively. And Resistance here, if they don't win this round, they really do run the risk of just crashing out of this CT side without being able to get a proper gun round together. Because we've seen them continually go for these Force buys, realising that they've kept Epsilon's money low. And yet they've kind of been baited into going for these Force buys where they're not quite finding the round wins. You can see Epsilon's economy is ripe to be broken if Resistance could win a round. But that's not been possible so far, but maybe Holmes will change that up. He finds the first kill. And Zinken, just caught off guard from so many angles, also goes down. And surely this is a round that Resistance have to come out on top in. They get their first 2 picks cleanly. And with 3 players stacked towards the B site, it's tough to see Epsilon really making ground here. 30 seconds left, and Epsilon are creeping their way forwards. Still haven't made any noise yet, so Resistance don't have the full information. That means they've only got 2 players here. Here comes the push forwards, and Jay-Z Walkings is already on the site. He gets a free kill. trades back and forth, but it's only one frag for the CT side. And Holmes gets a second kill. That's a huge frag. It denies the bomb. And so Resistance finally get themselves a round win on their CT side. Holmes coming in from short there made such a huge impact with that AK. And so Resistance now do break the economy of Epsilon. And thanks to that one round win, you can see what Resistance were going for this whole time. These force buys were close to being successful, and when they finally do get the force buy to come in their favour, it instantaneously forces Epsilon back down to a force buy that doesn't have too much to show for itself in terms of weaponry. Where is this caster from? I'm from the UK, my dude. Insert UKCS memes in the chat here. I'm ready for them. Well, a player in towards window finds that first kill. They realised there was a player already boosted up there. Impulse looking to lock things down, but he gets traded on. And KGR whiffs that kill. This has gone horribly wrong here. It was only pistols for Epsilon, and yet they are the ones with the advantage. But just look at the health on the two remaining players. If Decky's nade went a bit quicker, that may have found some frags. However, instead, Epsilon managed to get back to safety just in time. But still, 12 HP and 1 HP on the two remaining players. Still going to be fairly difficult for Epsilon here to find this kill. And Decky is sticking around on A. The timing is everything here. Decky's going to go aggressive. There's two players round the corner, and Decky just lines them up. He doesn't even take a single point of damage himself as he finds both of those frags. I really like the play there from Decky as well. The aggression gives him the information to either allow him to rotate to B or try and take those fights. And so he gets himself the round win. And Epsilon now again are going to be forced straight back down to pistols. Impulse towards mid should find easy kills. There we go, 3 kills for him. Looks like a couple were going to be stolen away by the SMGs at the end. However, Resistance, of course, are more than happy to just get the round win fairly easily. And here we go, round 22 will be back to a bye for both teams. Impulse himself has a really good spawn for mid if he wanted to go for the hold, but it's likely, of course, that Epsilon would just smoke him out. He has, of course, got the AWP, but no Kevlar alongside it. You can see he will try and hold the position, but Epsilon not focused towards mid to start things off. I think that's something that's been fairly interesting from both teams so far. We haven't really seen either of them go for too much mid presence on their T side, which is normally very standard. Saw there the pop flash lined up for A ramp, and it works out. One player there trying to hold the position by himself gets full blinded, and so an easy opening pick for Resistance. That was fairly creative there with the pop flash over. I'm a big fan of that play just to try and get the first pick. You can see Epsilon's reaction is to push quickly towards B, and they themselves blind up Holmes. So the flashes work well for both teams to get themselves opening picks. However, I think Epsilon's map control looks better. As I say that, I thought they were going to plant towards B. However, it looks like Epsilon having second thoughts about that B push. It looked like they were going to have full site control. And yet Epsilon now are going to go back towards A by the looks of things. I mean, Zinken is here. The bomb is still pushing B. I don't know what is happening right now. JZ Walkings with the bomb is pushing B, so I guess this is the end goal of the round. Does he not spot out the head there? He should be able to see the head of the player in towards bench. Finally, JZ Walking spots out the man, but he doesn't get the kill. That's a huge mistake coming out from him, because now the MAC-10 has to do it all, and that will not be possible. Zinken again is forced to clutch. He's won a 1-on-3 previously, but this time he can't win the 1-on-2. And so Resistance themselves will get up to double digits. And this game looks like it's going to end fairly competitive. Resistance were at risk of losing out, but as soon as they got the one-round win, they haven't looked back. 4 in a row. They're continuing to pressure the T-side economy. We've seen a fair few rounds where Epsilon have been forced down to pistols. And that's allowing Resistance to really work themselves back into this game now. Dimka towards mid. Oh, he pulls a smoke out at just the wrong time there. Doesn't quite lose his life, but will lose a little bit of health. And there goes Zinken, again with the quick headshot. Boost is coming in, KGR is at risk, and he also goes down. We've seen a few Force Buy wins already in this game, and Epsilon will be looking to replicate that yet again. Their pistols get 2 opening kills. And Resistance now, with only 3 players left to cover the entire map, are going to likely have to take some sort of gamble. You can see right now, Impulse is just going to be forced to solo hold the A site with the AWP. I think this is probably the best decision here for Resistance, because it is going to be easier to retake A, and Impulse, if he can just get 1 kill before the push comes in, a 3-on-4 retake against pistol players, for the most part, is certainly going to be a possibility. Impulse spots out the big first frag. He's even going to stick around for a little bit more here. Rattles off a second shot, but doesn't quite connect. And Epsilon themselves are starting to make their way towards the sites, and that will allow the bomb to go down. But here comes Deki going so aggressive, and they don't watch towards CT, so he gets 2 kills. Impulse finds one with the AWP, and all of a sudden, Resistance swing things into their favour. JZ Walking's now the one man left, goes for the spray and gets the kill through the box, but he doesn't expect the player from jungle. Pulling out his knife there to try and get back to a position he thought was safe. However, instead it is Holmes to get himself the free kill and secure the round win for Resistance. I'm not sure if JZ Walkings thought he had information that the player was positioned elsewhere. You would think that must be the case, because otherwise it doesn't make too much sense to just jump out with the knife in his hands. However, either way, of course, Epsilon won't be too worried about losing that round, because they are straight back into the gun round here. Double AWPs on the T side, as well as double AWPs on the CT side for Resistance. And JZ Walkings could be at risk here. Deki is pushing so aggressively towards top mid. JC Walkings takes the fight, and I think he may have heard the steps earlier on to just play things safe and wait for the push through. The AWP on the A side still not pulling the trigger, and it's Impulse instead who finds himself the frag back. So 2 of the AWPs are lost on both sides to start the round. We see the AWPs take fights against each other, and it's an even trade back to a 4-on-4. Of course, in theory, this should favour Epsilon, because you can already see Resistance having to spread a bit more thinly across the map. But that nade from KGR does a huge amount of damage. I think that did 50 to both Zinken and his teammate, the Mr. Smiley Face. Oh, the boost comes in, and KGR was not expecting that to come through. Impulse aggressive in towards A ramp, does find that first kill, but the push is coming through Connector, and so he has to be at risk here of the push coming in. They're going through jungle. They're going to wrap towards the B sites, but Holmes already cuts it off. There's the 1 kill. Still trades back and forth. Holmes looking for the second. He finds the spray down, and so now JZ Walkings has to clutch with the AWP again in a 1-on-2. Oh, JZ Walkings finds the wall bang on towards Holmes, and all of a sudden, it's a 1-on-1 with the bomb planted. JZ Walkings finds the leg shot, the molly's going in. Is that going to get the kill? Impulse forced to go aggressive, and JZ Walkings switches to the Glock for the final frag. Great clutch coming out from him. A little bit of luck, maybe, to get that first kill in towards bench, but he took the risk. It paid off. And Epsilon get the round win off the back of JZ Walkings with that AWP. So after Epsilon win the round, we have to put that back into perspective here. Because Resistance, I thought we're just going to go for some sort of weaker buy, maybe a half buy with some pistols. However, instead they have decided to take the risk of going for the force buy here. We've got Impulse with an AWP, KGR with a FAMAS himself, and I don't think there's any other guns dropped on the floor. I'm looking around, I don't see any, so it looks like a couple of players are going to have some weak weapons here. again, we have certainly seen both teams be able to come out on top in some of these force buys. But considering the position Resistance are in, I think they could afford to sort of go for just pistols, try and get that double AWP back on their side, which is something that they've really tried to go for fairly often. Again, guys, if you have just joined us, we are here for the FCDB Cup 2017, and this game has been fairly back and forth so far. Impulse on the CT side leading the way, 26 kills. He's been AWPing fairly consistently, and that will continue into this round. And he has also been fairly good with this AWP, but at the same time, he's not going to have too much around him in this one. Looks likely that Impulse is going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting for Resistance if they want to win this upcoming round. So there we go, the final Epsilon player gets back onto the server, and we will head back underway into this incredibly close game. This round could certainly be a pivotal one though. If Resistance lose this round here, their money is going to be fairly grim. So Resistance decide to take the risk of the force buy, but if they lose this round, you would have to think Epsilon would be able to close. Just want to say as well, guys, thank you all for tuning in. 9,500 viewers is awesome. Make sure to stick around as well the rest of the day. We've got plenty of games coming up. We're going to see Resistance go for some aggression to start off this round. Decky pushing into a ramp. In the meantime, Impulse going to take the fight, but JZ Walking's always going to be favoured there, holding with the AWP. And that's such an easy opening kill for him to get. And more importantly, the AWP dropped down from Resistance. Here comes the push, though. The CZ from Decky finds the frag at long range. And so he goes straight back to a 4-on-4. And Holmes, after recovering the AWP, just gets overwhelmed on the B site. He was the last line of defense over towards B, because Resistance had stacked A to go for the push through A ramp. And so now Resistance in a 3-on-4 retake of the B site, and with Epsilon still having plenty of nades, I don't really see them taking the risk to go for this one. And already you can see that the Resistance have decided it's not worth the risk. They're going to have to go for the save. So Resistance will get the AK, FAMAS and UMP saved on their side. And I just want to point out as well, I don't mind the decision from Impulse to peek B apps, but he's going to need someone to flash for him there if he wants to take that fight. Because there is always the risk that JZ Walkings or even an AK can just be holding on the other side. And if Impulse gets flashed in, it makes it so much easier to at least not risk just going down without finding anything. Especially when there was so much pressure on him with the AWP compared to the rest of the players with their buy. Either way, Resistance, of course, have decided to go for the force off the back of 3 saved guns. It's still not looking great on their side of things, but they're just going to have to deal with only having 2 rifles alongside 3 UMPs. And again, we've seen both teams have success in their force buys so far. So if Resistance could replicate that, they could certainly still keep themselves in with a chance. Epsilon themselves very heavily grouped up around the A side of the map. You'd expect them to go pushing towards the A site fairly quickly here, because they are running the risk of losing map control over towards B. For example, if Resistance push B apps right now, they would get full information there. But still, Epsilon not committing to the push just yet. A couple of nades going over, and so the exec will come in. Epsilon going to make their way forwards, and the smokes are doing a fairly good job right now at cutting off the CTs on the hold. You see still no fights coming through, and Epsilon making their way forwards. Dimka towards the site is the first man to fall, and here comes Zinken from Connector, making a big difference. The one player out mid finds a second entry on towards the site, and so the bomb will go down, and again Resistance in a retake at a disadvantage. To be precise, a two-man disadvantage. Jump comes up, but easy kill there for the AK, holding the angle. In the meantime, Decky did find one kill, but it's just not going to be enough. Epsilon will get themselves up to 15 rounds and get themselves the chance to close out this win here in Group A. Remember, both these teams lost their opening game in this group. So this was always going to be a very important match for both of them to just get themselves back into contention. And it looks like the Swedes of Epsilon should be able to take this win. But of course, it's not confirmed just yet. Resistance will not have the best of money. But again, they're just going to have to rely on what they can get for what could be the final round of this game. So here we go, Resistance have got a couple of rifles. Again, it's a force buy. And let's see if they can have success with this force buy. You can see Resistance have invested fairly heavily into the weaponry, and their utility is very lackluster on the CT side. If Epsilon just wait fairly late into the round, or even just go for mid control, you can see Resistance cannot really contest towards mid. They don't have an AWP themselves, they don't have the nades to risk going for any aggression. So we will see Epsilon be able to take mid without too much pressure from the CT side. And that certainly opens up a realm of possibilities for Epsilon now. We've already seen them go for this push towards A through connector previously. And it looks like it will be the case again. Zinken finds the first, and look at how quick that headshot is. The AK is opening up towards the site. We are going to see Dimka, the one man left, looking to lock down A. And he does get himself the one kill, make it a second frag. Going for the reload, though, means that he will fall at the hands of JZ Walkings. But still a 2v2 as the bomb goes down. And Decky's just going to push straight up to leave Zinken 1-on-2. He gets the first headshot. On just 9 HP now, Zinken spots towards the bomb, realises there's no defuse. Decky's still not on it. 1 HP as the shot lands. Zinken needs to peek. He needs to peek now, and he gets the headshot. Zinken, on 1 point of health, wins this one for Epsilon. The 1-on-2 goes in his favour. And Resistance had so many close rounds in that game. And yet, at the end of the day, it's Epsilon who take the victory, 16-11 here. Gotta feel a little bit sorry for Resistance there at the end. I think that shot landed through the wall, and so it didn't get the kill. And the 1 HP clutch goes in favour of Zinken. And let's be fair to Zinken, he won a fair few clutches in that game that made a massive difference for Epsilon. Again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Seriously, 10,000 viewers, really awesome. I think that's the most we've had so far in this qualifier. And, you know, casting is just really fun, and I like to share it with people. So thank you for tuning in. Make sure to stick around. We've still got plenty of games coming up. Coming up next, we're going to have Epsilon up against Alternate Attacks. So we'll get to see if Epsilon can repeat their victory here. We will be back with that second map after a quick break. So don't go anywhere.